Get on with the show. My first guest is a Dublin-born actor who has become one of the most sought-after names in Hollywood. Neil Jordan described him as gifted when he cast him in Michael Collins, and since then he has worked with the likes of Woody Allen, Anthony Hopkins and Scarlett Johansson. He also starred alongside Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 3. His latest film, August Rush, will be released next Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jonathan Rhys Meyers. Welcome.
Thanks.
Hello. I can sincerely say that is the first time I've seen members of the audience literally going, Steve. That is you're very welcome.
Thanks very much.
To the show and back home, of course. You've become such a major star in what seems like no time at all, but you've grafted it, haven't you? I mean, was it hard work or a bit of luck? What do you boil it down to?
I think everything is a bit of hard work and a bit of luck.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad for the success I've had, but it hasn't been overnight. It's taken me about 10 or 12 years to get here. I think the longer it takes and the more hard work you put into it, the more you enjoy it when it arrives.
Yeah, because I was talking to a guest last week, Marlene Klass was saying that she said it's not about luck, it's about really hard work and earning it. But you seem to think that it's more to do with a bit of luck as well, rather than just the graft.
Well, I think so. I mean, it's when I worked with Woody Allen on Match Point, that was his thing, that, most of his career is actually down to luck. You have a certain amount of talent, you've got a certain amount of opportunistic vision that you have for yourself. And I think luck is very much preparation meeting opportunity. But I think lucky people are people who know when a good thing is happening to them. Yeah. And then they take that good thing and they push it as far as, the suggestion will go. And all it is a suggestion.
So they're enjoying it as it's happening at the time. Yes, it makes sense. Now, are you in a situation, Jonathan, where you're just getting things handed to you on a plate? I mean, are you beyond the audition stage? Is that possible? Or?
No. I don't think it's possible to get beyond the audition stage for certain directors.
Yes.
Someone like Steven Spielberg or Martin Scorsese, you're still going to audition for them, regardless of how famous you are. Because these are the top directors in the world, and their scripts, define how films are made. But certain things, because of the success I've had and the work that I've done, certain things are easier. I get in the door a hell of a lot quicker.
Yes.
But what happens once I'm in the door is entirely up to me.
So you queue along with the rest of them, not quite queue, but they all obviously
you're in a certain group.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about becoming more successful is you get into a group, but then you have to look at who's in the group.
Yes.
Who's
in your group now?
Well, I don't know who's in my group, but I know that I know that they're earning fortunes anyway. I don't really know who's in my group, but you can imagine other actors my age, 28, 29, 30, would be all in that same group, especially if they've done a couple of films before, if they've got a couple of jobs out there and they've done good work. And
are you pally? Or is it competitive? I mean, you talk about the people you're talking about, like Orlando Bloom or Colin Farrell, or all that sort of thing. Do you all compete for the same parts, or are you?
There's a certain amount of competitiveness, but I mean, we're all incredibly friendly.
Are you?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's that natural professional friendliness. But when it comes down to getting the role in your own private moments, you want to get it over the other person. Of course you do.
Yeah, of course. And if you take August Rush, the film that you're here talking about tonight, Kirsten Sheridan, of course, is directing it.
Brilliant woman.
How did you get the part in terms of, was she easy to deal with in terms of getting you to play the lead role, or did you have to work for the part again there?
I did have to work for the part, but I didn't have to work from an audition point of view. I had to work to convince the studio that I was the right person to play Lewis Connolly. I think they originally wanted, they wanted some other American actor, I think possibly Ryan Gosling, to play the part. And Kirsten kind of really felt that it should be an Irish actor, because there's just a certain energy that comes with being Irish that doesn't exist with being an American. Now, I'm sure an American actor could have played the part just as good, but didn't have that natural feeling, that natural Irish camaraderie that myself and Kirsten enjoyed. And it was interesting for me because it was the first time I was working on a film with somebody who was my age.
Yes.
And that's a big new step.
And how would that change the dynamic then?
Well, you don't have the mother or father figure to look up to, as you did in, when I was younger and I was working on these films. The director was always an older guy or it was an older woman. But now I'm working with somebody who I'm the same age as, and I'm playing a father.
Yes.
Those are big sort of wake-up calls as to, you are getting older.
Did you feel that? Did you think, oh God, now I'm being cast as a dad? What's happening?
Well, it is. It's kind of like it was, I'm being cast as a father. And then the next film I did in China, I play a guy who takes 60 children over the Liupanshan Mountains. So once again, it's very, very parental. And actually, people are looking up to me now as the responsible one.
How do you cope with that? How are you coping with that? No, come on, how are you coping with that? That's a big responsibility. You're now dad.
Well, it is. Which on film, I'm a dad. And I remember, actually, it's a beautiful story. I went to the premiere of August Rush the other night, and there was a little girl. Her name was Joy. And I think she was from Colorado. And what happened was she'd entered a competition on the radio. She was meant to be 18. She was 8. So she enters this competition. She wins the competition. They find out she's 8. They send her to the premiere anyway with her mum.
Yeah.
So she comes to the premiere, and I'm standing there at a table, and this woman comes up with this beautiful little girl, blonde hair. She had a little tiara on her head and a little white teddy bear that says, "I love New York" on the teddy bear. And she's got herself snuggled into this teddy bear. So her mum comes and says to me, "You're the daddy." So she wants to say hello to you because she's seen the movie and you're the daddy. So I went up and I said hello to her. And while I was saying hello to her, Freddie Highmore,
the little actor in the movie,
who plays August Rush, and you'll know him from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and he's an incredible boy. And so he comes up behind her and he taps her on the shoulder. And he says, "Hello." And she turns around, and I have never, ever actually seen a girl that age. She died. She literally died. I saw her turn, and she just melted like an ice cream in the microwave. She could not be contained. Her head went into her teddy bear. She couldn't look up at him. It was, you can imagine meeting Marlon Brando or Paul Newman in their day or something like that. But this girl, Freddie Highmore,
isn't that lovely?
The world.
There were about 15 ice creams in the microwave in this audience tonight when you walked on. Let's talk about the movie briefly. The story itself, I was reading Empire magazine described it very nicely last night as a fairy tale, because it's rooted in a sort of unreality, if you like, magic realism of sorts. Well, what is the story with it?
Well, the story is, based around this boy, Evan, played by Freddie Highmore, who changes his name to August Rush through the help of Wizard, who's played by Robin Williams. And the story of how August comes to be is that I play a young Irish musician in New York. He's not a rock star, he's not a superstar, he's just a journeyman. He meets this girl from the other side of the tracks, of course. They have one night of bliss, and he wants to meet her the next day, and he goes to the plaza to meet her, and he sees her get into a limo and be driven off by her father. So he immediately thinks, well, she just went slumming.
Yes.
And so he's never going to see her again, but he really gets hurt and upset because he really loved her. That one woman, that one girl that you loved so much, the one. Yeah. She's the one. So he can't concentrate and she can't concentrate, and you see these two dual stories happening. And she gets pregnant. She's pregnant from the night that they spent with each other, and you see her have an argument with her father, and she walks out onto the street and hits by a taxi. So she's taken to the hospital, and her father tells her that the child was lost, that the child died. When it cuts to 11 years later and the child didn't die, the child was put up for adoption without the mother knowing. He faked the mother's signature.
Yes.
And so it's about this little boy coming back to New York and trying to find his parents. He's found by Wizard, Robin Williams' character, who's like a street musician.
Like Fagin and Oliver Twist, a lot of comparisons
to Oliver Twist. A lot of Oliver Twist comparisons.
Yeah.
And he sees the natural musical brilliance in this boy, and this boy gets discovered by a young teacher at Juilliard. And so he starts to write symphonies, and it's about the two parents finding the boy and the boy finding the parents.
Through music.
Through music.
It seems all the way through is that theme of the music. Can we look at a clip? Because this is the young Freddie and yourself in the park.
Oh, my pleasure.
Not realising, of course, the relationship. It just happens that you came across each other. Okay. And there's a guitar scenario that we're going to see here. Would you like to see Jonathan in action now? Okay, here it is, scene from August Rush.
How long have you been playing?
6 months.
6 months?
Yeah, he's terrific in it as well, actually, as Freddie. He's a good little actor, isn't he?
Oh God, you know, it's kind of like, it's beautiful to watch the film and, you know, to see him, you know, come alive as August Rush. But then, you know, you're kind of blown off the screen by a 14-year-old. And you know, that's the thing about working with kids. It's very exciting and it's very, you know, it's a very sort of like enlightening experience.
Yeah.
Definitely for all the struggles that are there with working with kids. You know, there's brilliant things too. But they are so naturally brilliant as actors because they're seeing black and white and they're really not worrying about their agents or how they're going to look.
Yes.
They're just worrying about playing the part. And, you know, Freddie's just, you know, he's one of these incredible kids who's got a nice upbringing. His parents are wonderful people. They're not pushy. And, you know, and he's just a normal boy. I went to play, we support Arsenal. So I went to the Arsenal with him. We met for breakfast and went and watched the football.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, he's the most normal kid in the world. But then he's one of the world's top young actors.
Yeah. Well, as you said, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Tim Burton remake was his
Charlie and
big
Finding
role.
Neverland. And of course, you know, Johnny Depp insisted that he was cast as Charlie in the Chocolate Factory after doing Finding Neverland. He just said, this boy is just pure empathy.
It's interesting to hear you say that you hung out with him in going to see an Arsenal match. That wouldn't be very common, would it, for like actors to be that friendly or in a sense?
No, I mean, it's like, well, you know, sometimes, you know, I think one every 6 or 7 films you meet somebody that you actually spend time with and you click with. Yeah. And Freddie, you know, we just both live in North London and, you know, he played my son. He's the first child to play my son.
Yeah, that's the first, all right.
In a weird way, but you know, it's kind of like you have that connection with him. So as long as he lives, and you know, when I'm a 70-year-old man and he's like 40 or 50 years old, he will always be my son. My first son.
My son.
Freddie.
You're having a Tudor moment there.
I was, yeah.
You are my first son, I shall chop your head off. One of the great breakthrough movie roles was, I mentioned Neil Jordan in the introduction, Jonathan.
Yeah.
And you ended up shooting Michael Collins.
I did, yeah.
Literally, which is you had a first son at 30 and now you're shooting Michael Collins.
Yeah.
At least in that's it. How did you end up in that particular role? I mean, was that a tough one to get?
Well, I tell you, I got a phone call. I was in Sweden shooting a film called The Disappearance of Finbar.
Yeah.
It was the first sort of like any sort of substantial role that I had. And I was in Sweden and I get a phone call saying Neil Jordan's making this film called Michael Collins. Liam Neeson is playing Michael Collins, Julia Roberts is playing Kitty Kieran and so on and so forth. It was like, wow, brilliant. So I was told to go to the Davenport to meet him. So I went to the Davenport, and of course, outside the door, there's about 6 or 7 other young fellas. You know, we're just waiting. It's like a queue for bread in Moscow. And so I'm in this room, and I remember the carpet was just really distinctive royal blue carpet. So I kind of like kept my eyes down on the carpet because I was a little bit nervous, and I was listening to the banter that was going on with the other lads. So one of them came out of the room and he came out going, oh, I know him, he was up at my brother's house. Oh, I know him, he come for tea up to the house, you know, no problem, I have it sewn up, right? So this young fella walks out anyway and, you know, a couple of the other lads go in and then I finally went in to see Neil. And he said, yeah, I've got this part of The Smiling Youth. I was like, God almighty, he's not even, you know, an important enough a part to give him a name. He's the Smiling Youth. I don't smile, first of all. I wasn't, you know, at that stage I wasn't doing a hell of a lot of smiling. And I was like, I said, you know, I was thinking of going into the room and would I just turn around to him and say, hey, listen, I don't care how big the part is. Will you just give me a part with a name so I can tell me mates I'm playing Andy, whatever, instead of I'm playing the Smiling Youth. So I went and I shot the part because you get asked to do something with Neil Jordan and you do it. And it was just a wonderful experience. And Neil was very nice to me in the editing room. I could have totally disappeared in the film, and I didn't.
Yes.
And you know, he helped me on the road.
And on the road you went. I mean, I watched Mission Impossible 3 last night. I have to say, sometimes research is a pleasure when you're watching a movie like that because it's such fun. And you had a very significant part in that, watching it last night. It looked like great fun to make, was it? Was it very exciting?
It was, you know, well, you know, it was one of those kind of like those dream films, you know, when you're first an actor and you're auditioning for films and you're wondering what type of film you want to be on, and then you see these big budget movies. Yeah. And then when you finally find yourself on the set, I mean, it was a very weird moment, like halfway through my first day, and I'm in a speedboat on the Tiber, cameras everywhere, Tom Cruise driving the boat. Crowds everywhere, and suddenly it's like helicopters and the news cameras and everything, and you suddenly realize that, you know, you're the guy on this big movie.
How did that feel?
You know, it was just the most extraordinary experience to be in that circus, to be in the, well, definitely in the Tom Cruise circus, because wherever he goes, you know, thousands follow.
What's he like? I mean, he gets a very, very odd press. I mean, if he was here, he might be jumping up and down the couch. You know, he gets this. Yeah, I love her. Sit down. What's he? Sorry, I don't mean that.
Tom, will you ever sit down?
Sit down, Tom. We're trying to do an interview. I know he's probably your mate. Now I'm offending you, but what's he like? Is he a nice fella?
Tom Cruise is a very, very nice man. You know, he does get a hard stick in the press. He's a very hard worker. He only sleeps 3 hours a night when he's shooting, because he's usually the producer as well on it. You know what I mean? So he works very hard. But you know, it's kind of strange. You know, you work with somebody and you're living with them on a day-to-day basis for 6 months. That's what it took us to shoot Mission Impossible. And so you see that person on a day-to-day basis, and then you read what's said about them in the newspaper, and then you're like, oh, that can't be true, because I was there.
Yeah.
At 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday, and Tom Cruise was nowhere near this restaurant. So, you kind of like get an idea of, you know, the amount of stuff that's made up about people. But he's a terribly nice guy.
Is he fun to act with? I mean, as well as whatever about hanging out. Did you like that, or is he just another actor for you?
No. I mean, he's more than another actor, because he's Tom Cruise, and you're constantly reminded of the fact that he's Tom Cruise, because, you know, there's always 6 or 7 assistants around him. So, you know where to find Tom, because there's just like this sea of people with sort of walkie-talkies. Eventually you'll find Tom if you look hard enough. So, you know, that element is extraordinary to work around.
Can we show a clip of the film, would you mind?
Mission Impossible 3?
Yeah, why not? Because your Italian's pretty good in this.
Oh, it's all right, isn't it?
Not bad. Do you want to see this? Yeah, this is fun. Okay.
Onward.
Here's Jonathan and Tom.
È un furgone nuovo! E per questo, cretino!
L'ho sistemato la settimana scorsa!
Cretino.
Hai rotto?
Ho rotto io? Sì, io? Tu! Hai rotto tu!
Io! Ti hai rotto tu!
Sta zitto!
Sì, io ti
Tu
ho
hai
rotto!
rotto!
Ma vaffanculo,
No, sta zitto! Sta zitto!
Ho capito, mi dispiace, ma sposta sto cazzo!
Momento, momento!
È un casino anche per noi! Mi dispiace, fatevi un po' indietro e passiamo tutti! E basta! Però sbrigati, insomma!
Now we've pissed off every Italian in Rome. Go do what you gotta do. Don't forget to smoke.
Scusa! E il carburatore è rotta!
Did you? I can't let you go. I want to ask you about Match Point too, because that was a terrific film, and that was you and Scarlett Johansson.
It was, yeah.
In a very unlikely Woody Allen movie, it has to be said. How did you enjoy that one?
Yeah, that was great. I mean, you know, I met Woody. I got asked to go on tape. This is the process for shooting with Woody Allen: is you go on tape somewhere with the casting director, and then they say to send the tape to Woody, and Woody either likes you or he doesn't. So I got a phone call after I did the taping saying Woody would like to meet you. Came in, met Woody. He handed me a script. He was like, you know, if you respect the material, he said, let's work.
That's very good. That's a good Woody.
I almost went there.
That's very good. You're as good as there.
So I did the film. You know, Woody wrote it years ago.
Yeah.
He has like, you know, he's got a desk at home in his bedroom. He's just got ideas that he's written all through the years, and he pulled this one out. It could have easily been New York, but it ended up being London.
Now, you're filming a lot in Ireland with the Tudors program you mentioned. How do you enjoy the Irish, the whole experience of being back in Ireland and doing all that shooting here? Is it fun?
Yeah, it is. I mean, what's nice about being back in your home country is you can go to the supermarket and the biscuits you want to buy are the biscuits you really want to buy. You know,
that's essential for your tea.
When you never think about it, you know, when you move to another country, it's like you go to the supermarket and you don't know what to buy. You don't know what jam's your jam or what chips are your chips.
Yeah,
so anyway, going home to Ireland, I know I can get what I want to get. My Barry's tea, I can get my, you know, my Kerrygold butter. So it's nice being home from that point of view. And shooting the Tudors, because it's an American production, come into Ireland to shoot. It's kind of, you know, it's nice shooting with an Irish crew because they're some of the best in the world. But also, you're the local boy who's playing the lead role in the American TV show being shot in Ireland.
You're on your home turf.
You're on your home turf, so there's a certain amount of responsibility. So the crew are very, very nice to you because they really want to see you do very well.
Well, you are doing very well, and you're always welcome on that couch, you know that.
Thanks very, very
Pleasure
much.
to see you.
Very
Continued
kind. I
success.
might take up residence someday.
Yes, why not? You and Tom Cruise. Jonathan Rhys Meyers.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Jonathan.